G'day, guys, and welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast, season 4, episode 21. Geez, we're rolling in through the season. First week of the finals are done. I'm joined by, obviously, my two co-hosts each and every week, Supercoach with DR and Spills. And this week, we have my longest serving mate, Ross, the co-pilot of Third Man Up. We've got him on this week, so it's a bit of an annual thing going on. We're going to talk about Ross's team as well. We're going to focus on a couple of rants. Actually, we've got some rants. We've got a tweet of the week, and then just stay tuned because we're going to do some debriefing from the first week of Supercoach finals, as well as look into some locks for our 2025 side. Without further ado, how are we, boys? DR, I'll start with you. How's your weekend? Very busy Sunday, I saw on Twitter.
Yes, very, very busy, mate. So it was a day full of footy. So two boys played their finals. One loss, one win, but the win was in the elimination. The loss, now she's got the double chance. So all good there. And then I watched about 3/4 of the Lions Saints game, so I couldn't miss it. You know, I was speaking about it last week. Had the choice: do I leave the game early and watch the full 4/4 at Marvel? I thought no. I'm going to do the right thing, stay right until the end. And unfortunately, they lost with about 3 minutes to go. They were up all game. So pretty tough defeat. But, hey, it builds resilience, boys. Absolutely builds resilience. And, had an interesting night or two on Twitter as well. So we may address things maybe a little bit later on in the week. But tell you what, mate, some interesting characters out there. I'll leave it at that for now. But Spillsy,
don't let them impact you, DR. Spillsy,
no,
how's your weekend, mate? A very good Sunday for you, hey?
Was a good Sunday, and DR, first of all, just remember that lions do not lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. So, you'll be right.
Comes out with an absolute banger. Yeah. Love it, Spillsy.
I pull them out every now and again. We'll have one, but also Rossco, welcome to the podcast, man. It's good to have you on. And yeah, had a great weekend, and I took your advice, boys. I backed off. I love the Giants; they're a great team, but I can't go past the Dons. The background's changed, boys.
The Riddler.
So Ridley's back. The Dons are back. I held me faith.
The Dons are back.
A good mate from work. He jumped on the Hawks bandwagon. I offered him a free ticket to the game. He declined it. So yeah, he wasn't keen to be a part of it. So I witnessed the win on the weekend, which was good to see from the Dons. I just felt like it would be such an excellent thing to do to see them win when there's no expectation at all. So I don't know. My gut was telling me like they're not under pressure, so they should win, right? And yeah, they made it look pretty scary, but they got the job done. I'm still not too confident on them, but nonetheless, it was a good day at footy just by myself. And also, as you can probably tell, boys, I've got rid of the locks. There, no long hair anymore. So Friday night we got rid of it. So
maybe that's the good luck charm the Dons needed.
Yeah, that's it.
That's 100%, Janath. I'm definitely with you. But yeah, no, I had a great weekend, boys, and I'm just happy talking about things that aren't Supercoach because I think the big smile is going to be wiped straight off my face in about 2 minutes. Man. But going well, boys, going very well. And Rossco, welcome to Swordplay podcast. Been highly anticipated for a long time, doing great things with Janath at the Third Man Up. So it's only fitting to have you come on with us finally. So how are you, man?
Yeah, good. Thanks very much, mate. I'm very much looking forward to being on and having a bit of chat about my team. Hasn't exactly gone the way that I wanted this year, but, still be good to sort of have a bit of a look at it and, see what we can work on for next year because I think this one's a bit of a write-off.
I reckon the best saying with Supercoach is if you're not first, you're last. So let's move on. All right, with the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday appeal, $285 raised. We've sold 57 beanies and counting. The new stock is DR. Give us an update. It's in.
Absolutely on the way. Cam
on the way,
and the great men there. Absolutely onto it, mate. So as I said before, same design, same style and everything. We just sold out of our first batch. And I don't know if we expected that, boys, but what a response from the community. And as always, I've got my little book here,
Plug
the
it.
Swordplay notepad. We like it old school here. We like it old school. And can I say, Rossco, that beanie there, mate, suits you down to a T. He's a great looking rooster, is Rossco.
is,
But
eh?
that Swordplay
It's
beanie
very
is that
warm.
cherry on top, I think, mate. Looking absolutely fantastic, my friend.
So, I'm feeling pretty comfy in my room right now. So, wouldn't be taking it off anytime soon.
Good man.
Good man, mate. Good man.
And if you want yours, go to supercoachswordplay.com. Like this great legend calls it the ladies' man Blackledge has done with this.
Man.
Look at this hoodie on him, the Supercoach Swordplay hoodie. Would love to see the back of that because we've got our 3 noggins on there, which is quite interesting. I put a Instagram
Bloody
story
gorgeous,
out
Janath.
last week about it, and I'm like, how on earth did we end up with our heads on a beanie? Like,
It's unreal, isn't it? Look, I'll tell you what I will say. Cause of the ladies' man Blackledge, if he's already swatting them away, given the fact he's now in that Swordplay hoodie, I'll tell you what, he's going to need more than the fly swat. He's going to need a. Oh, actually, I thought we going down a abuse. So
KPJJ up.
okay.
that's
We're
right.
we're a community now.
I mean, the 10-foot pole just.
Exactly right, Roscoe. Very well said. And
Definitely do some serious damage in that hoodie. There's no doubt.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
it,
And I just want to give just a personal shout out to Cause, the longest serving member of my channel. I know that he watches everyone's content. He's a ripping lad, is Causes. So thanks very much, buddy. We all really love you here, mate. A big part of our community. And I look forward to catching up with you at the footy again sometime soon, my friend.
That's it. DR, do you want to keep going?
I will. Yes, just a big reminder and a big thank you to Taylor and the crew at Speedy Tees. We do have Father's Day coming up, boys. I've got 3 of my own. And do we have some designs here? Now, a little bit cheeky is this one down here. Dad doing shit. So that's an absolute classic there on the dunny there. If you want that baseball style, if you're more of a casual type person, we've got the old dad one there, our first Father's Day. Now, many of you watching the channel may be a first-time father, so wouldn't that be an absolute ripper? Or if you're just a simple dad, like me, not the most fashionable person in the world, not saying that it isn't fashionable, but nice and plain, nice and simple, you can go with the old dad one there. But, speedytees.com.au. Thank you very much to Taylor and the team. Really appreciate your support, guys.
I reckon you may be getting one DR for not leaving your Maxi's game early. So just keep an eye out there, Maxi.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully,
I know you watch it. I know you watch the channel.
That's right, mate. That's right. Loves it.
Let's get into our round reviews then. We'll start with you, Spills, because I know you said Supercoach gone a bit downhill, but just fill us in. What eventuated on the weekend?
Yeah, just a comedy of errors straight off the bat. I got it wrong
I
from
thought your mic had stuffed up. Then it was a big, big lead into this. The big breath.
I just had to take a pause, boys, because you got a question.
Oh, now he's frozen.
I'll tell you what's going on. I can't nail a captain to save. Oh, sorry, boys. Are you still with me?
Yeah,
we're with you, mate. Yep, keep going, mate.
Yeah, so, what's going on here at the Spills Lethals? I'm not really sure. We can't nail a captain to save our lives, and I was one of the very few that faded the Bont VC, and I had my reasoning behind it. I'd sort of had my heart set on Sheasel against Richmond, and because Graham was named and was probably going to get some attention, didn't think it would be that bad. I wanted to VC him and have a fallback, and I thought Zorko against St Kilda was a pretty good shout, but just completely inappropriate to overlook the GOAT who was due against a very mediocre midfield, and he carved him to shreds. And I don't think I'd ever been that rattled. You guys saw me in the group chat, just absolutely kicking myself. It was like I'd missed a set shot goal from 30 meters out to win the grand final. I mean, it was that sort of feel to it. There's one of the biggest misses I've had in Supercoach. It's not the 180 that hurt me so much. It was the fact that every single person I was playing in my league did so. I was torturing myself, boys. I was looking at the content creators. There wasn't one person that didn't do it. So I was absolutely filthy with it. I think maybe Centre Bounce might have missed as well. I'm pretty sure that's it. I reckon everyone else.
Yeah, no, I did as well.
You did as well. You poor bugger, mate. So, it's good to have someone on the pod this week that can relate to it, because from the get-go, that absolutely hurt me. And then, to make matters worse, we got Darcy Jones going 96 on my bench. but I couldn't take that score because, well, my
Both
loop,
be got the same thing, yeah.
yeah, Hutchison played so on the Friday night as a loop. So yeah, I was unable to take that score because I definitely would have taken that over a Dogger or Simkin. It was whether who got benched, but yeah, they both went under, so I lost points regardless. And then yeah, just nothing went right for me, boys. It was just one of those ones where if you don't nail the captain, things go wrong. Where well, if you do it, it goes all right. It wasn't a bad score, but I lost. Well, the Zorko captain of a 96, I think he scored. Yeah, that's 85 odd points. that's gone missing. So real unfortunate, boys. And I've been eliminated from my cash league, so that's unfortunate. So I'm definitely gonna have to pay up there. Annoying, but it is what it is. I'm still up from last year, but wasn't the year and the finish I was sort of hoping for. So it's all good though, boys. There's nothing I look forward to more during the week than a Tuesday night Supercoach session with you lads. So that makes up for it. But in terms of on-field performance, we could be doing a lot better. DR, how about yourself, mate? Looking a lot better. When I say better, you've put over 100 points on me. It's like I'm the Sydney Swans of Super.
What's happened to the Swannies? I've got no idea. But you know what? I'm actually disappointed with this because what really determines your week these days are your pods, are the performance of your pods, really. It doesn't matter what your common primos score unless you got the VC or the captain on them. But apart from that, it doesn't really matter if you've all got the same type of players here. But finally, I had both Yo and Dale fire in the same week. And I thought, what a great start to the week this is. I've got these two blokes that Dale's been giving me lots of 70 type scores lately, 90 if I'm lucky. Finally, he's got a really decent one here. And there wasn't too many kick-ins there as well because there just weren't any behinds being scored. And then Elliot Yo with close to 120, I think it was as well. I thought, beautiful. Here we go. Finally, there's a chance that I've got these two that can outscore your Lockie Whitfield, your Jack Sinclair, your Dan Houston. They're probably the three that I'm always looking at each week, how they're scoring. And they outscored Houston. But again, Lockie Whitfield, it hurts. It hurts. And Jack Sinclair as well. They both, smashed it out of the park and put 20-odd points on both of my players who I thought I may actually have an advantage on. And then later on the round, I still don't even know what happened. You get your Dogger Jackson's on around 50 at halftime, ends with a 48. And this is a killer. He's meant to be looped each week. This was a grand plan. This is what Zach Fisher was meant to do, be that F4, F5 for me, which can allow me to loop your Simpkin and your Dogger, which are my two really weak links up forward as well. And you wouldn't believe it, boys. I am like 1.5, 2K away from being able to trade Zach Fisher to Dylan Moore. Dogger lost that much money this week. I can't even straight swap Dogger to Dylan Moore. So I'm just at that point with 2 trades left still, but just only have 30K in the bank and I can't do much about it. So Shining Light was Bond, obviously, as a VC, and a little bit cheeky, was so confident at halftime. Livingston, come on down, mate, and slapping the captain on around that confidence. So a little bit of a flex there, I suppose, being able to do that at halftime.
As if he wouldn't.
But it wasn't just about the flex. It was because I also had Sard, your bloke from Essendon there on the bench skills, and I thought it will also allow me to use that loop and not have to force to have to take it type thing. So it wasn't just a stupid sort of flex. There was a bit of method to the madness there. But yeah, Green Arrows, 819, hopefully stay in the top 1K. Janath, my man, in the top 500 and a Green Arrow for you, mate.
Thank you, mate. I reckon I'm just going to sum up this week. I don't have the meme here, but just imagine this. You got the Homer Simpson back fat meme, where he's looking at Marge, and the front of him is the round 21 defenders and the mids, and the back is the round 21 forwards. Because I had all my forwards and my defenders except Dunkley go 100, and I had one forward go 100. So the pods, look, you're talking about the pods, DR, LDU and Sinclair getting 140s in the same week is supreme. Brilliant. Great stuff there. Tom Green's last minute winner to get over the Hawks. I reckon he got about 25 points for that goal there. And it was actually quite refreshing that Tom Green only had to have, 25 touches for 120. Could just do that every week, mate.
The ratio is our way this way, the Supercoach way.
That's it. So got on the Bond VC, and I think this is something I'm going to touch on later, but I just think that with these high ownership popular VC players, you just got to get on them, because if they go big, you're basically cheering against them, even though because everyone has them. So it's like the only people
That's an
that benefit,
understatement, Janath. Like you're
the only
raging.
people that have
You
that benefit are ones that captain him. And so I think that's something I'm going to talk a bit more about later. It's an FPL strategy that we'll chat about a little bit.
like it.
Maxi Gorn 130, and we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, that we just hoped that Gorney would sort of put away some of those that traded him out. And 130, I reckon, is a good enough score for that. The two big disappointments are in the forward line, and I can't believe it. Like, no matter how much you plan and all this cover, I might as well have had no ruck cover. Luke Jackson, just such a bummer. 2 touches in the second half. Was it no tackles, no marks? Charlie Kerner on the Saturday night.
Oh,
Not only did we lose after the siren, but Charlie Kerner went goalless for the first time in 66 games. And
That's nuts.
you just can't predict it. Like, he'd kicked 5 on Darcy Moore multiple times in the past couple of years. And what do you know? Darcy Moore decides not to play loose for once and naturally take his man. And Kerner gets towelled. So, look, can't complain too much. 3 of my 6 losses were to you, DR. So, stuff for you, mate. But
well, I noticed.
I'm just kidding.
The nicest guy on the podcast goes bang and gives DR a clip.
I thought this is a week. If I want to go really well and get top of the pod for the week, it's this week, because I'm looking at my league matches and it's like Janath third man up, because he's got that nice little green operation going on there, and you can notice it really easily. And like Janath, and I was thinking to myself, I am screwed this week. Like, how am I lucked out here? But very lucky week for me, mate. Very lucky week to get over you, mate, because obviously you have had the much better season as a whole.
No, well, I mean, we're only a couple of 100 spots apart. But look, it is still good to do that. And I think there's some really good matchups this week we'll talk about as well. So hopefully we'll have some green arrows this week, boys. Before we get to you, Ross, we're just going to touch on the top of the pod, and we can just move past this if we want.
Irrelevant. So irrelevant.
Nothing's changed yet.
G'day, Skills.
What do we get if we finish top of the pod? Can we get like a gold medal or something like at the Olympics?
Oh, look, we'll absolutely have to do that. And very quickly as well, just a quick shout out for anyone that's involved in, a real competitive type league, or you're looking for an awesome prize. Supercoach Rings, make sure you check them out on X. They do some brilliant stuff as well. So they'll actually donate one to me for the Supercoach League at school and stuff like that. So, if you are looking for an awesome prize, actually look at that. Got it right up here at the top. This is, this is last year's one. Know how well you can see there, Supercoach Champions. That is absolutely phenomenal there. So, make sure that you check them out. So, Janath, you might have to organise something from the great men there.
Hold up. We haven't won yet. 3 rounds left, DR. Take it easy.
Mate, what's the size of your finger? Give us your ring size now, mate. We'll book it in.
I'm not doing that, mate.
What do I get, boys? Do I get like a wooden spoon or something? Like
and a apology video from Tom Green, mate.
Yeah.
Matt Rao.
A Vimeo from Matty Rao.
Matt Rao, sorry. Tom Green, what am I thinking? Yeah, cheers.
All right, Rossco, mate. Here it is. What we've been waiting for to hear from you. Let us know, firstly, how your week's been. Secondly, how's your year been? And then we'll chat a bit about your trades and a reflection from this year.
No worries. Well, this weekend was a bit of an interesting one. I've just finished my uni exams last week. All went well, I think. But I was out in the bush this weekend.
Good on you, man.
So I sort of set all my Supercoach up and sort of left it for the weekend. I'm, not even that much on the ball of who scored what and whatnot. Just looking at total score. My round score was not very good. As you can see there, Sam Flanders, the ton run king, went under 100 for the first time this season.
So always when you VC him.
I just thought against West Coast, a game they must win to keep their season alive. He's playing midfield. Even if it's close, it's even better for them than a blowout, scaling, more points allocation for big moments, that sort of stuff. But it wasn't to be. And then, like you, Spills, I just backed Sheasel in against Richmond. I actually had him my VC last week for 160. So I thought, why not again? Yeah. He was really dominant. And, I thought he would go all right, but just average. So I'm currently in the top 6%. I'm sure you can probably see if you squint in there in the corner. I thought I built pretty well for the year through to what I'd say is full primo, but I think a couple of things have definitely come unstuck for me this year compared to last year, where I think I got a bit luckier with, selections and injuries and all that sort of stuff. So, not super happy, but, at the same time, it's not the worst.
I think with your rank there, mate, like under 12,000, I think people underestimate how tough it can actually be to get a rank around this. It's very competitive, mate. New rule changes, it seems to be each and every year. So certain strategies that you go in with might not necessarily work out. There's no data and history on how to play the game with these new changes as well. If there's not too many changes next year, we can obviously use our knowledge and lessons learned from this year and hopefully not make the same mistakes again in 2025. But overall, mate, I wouldn't be disappointed with this season whatsoever. You look at just a simple decision like a Bond VC versus a Flanders VC. At this current rank, you could be going up easily into possibly the top 10K. I haven't looked at the numbers here, but it means that much as well, mate. So certainly don't get down on yourself for this rank, mate. I think that's extremely solid.
No,
and with all the research data you do for the third man up stuff, mate, we know how much of a good coach you are, and you will absolutely bounce back very strong next year, mate.
I think that's one of the things that does keep it very positive. I've had some misses, but I've had some good hits as well. Like I think the process is there, but it just hasn't always come off. I have a bit of a list that I wrote up before I jumped on with injuries, suspensions, so on. Across the course of the season, I've had quite a few. So we had Zach Williams sort of in and out a couple of times. Jeremy McGovern a couple of weeks ago with his ribs. Fisher, Will Dawson got him in as a cash cow, and he's sort of done his shoulder straight away. Jordan Sweet missed a couple of weeks with COVID and being rested for Visentini and stuff like that, which sort of killed a couple of my strategies as well. So, it's a bit harsh this game sometimes, but what can you do?
A lot of it comes down to luck too. It's such a 50-50 call with Bont and Flanders, and we both made the wrong call, and that's Supercoach, man. Like, you can't do anything about it. And both really good strategies, but
and I want to say, go,
Janath.
On that, what you would say there is like, it wasn't. They were both equally good VC calls when you look at it on face value. Like there were more pros than cons to both of them, and it's just the way they split. It's just the variance, natural variance.
I think the strategy involved was to VC Bont, and because he's been so consistent but not too damaging, so you probably want him to like a 123 or something, and you go, all right, this is an awkward VC score that people have to dance. Ceiling against a poor team, but it just fell the wrong way, and the cookie didn't crumble my way, and that's Supercoach, and it happens. It doesn't mean you're a bad coach, and I've looked past that. Like, just because I didn't VC Bont, I'm not going to say that I'm not a good Supercoach, but it was a very unlucky call, and myself and Rossco, we got stitched up pretty hard. There's no doubt about that. So it happens.
What would you say, Ross, have been your sort of your 2 or 3 best starting picks and the 2 or 3 picks that you regret starting at the start of this year? And what lessons do you take out of that? Not players wise, but the process that you got to those players.
I think 2 obvious ones, Bont and Butters. That sort of really helps compared to, if you've got 40% of teams that don't have either of them, you're instantly getting a jump on those teams. Or, even if you've got top 5, top 1% teams that have to work into those players, I think that really helps as well. Nick Martin was a popular one. I know a lot of people sort of had him in the preseason, but I'm glad he's been able to just be a season hold, because that's really all you want from your starting picks, just players who can be a season hold. You don't have to move them. You don't have to trade
season
them.
Hold.
It just makes things really easy.
We all traded him and got him back in, except
that's
you.
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, I had some big misses as well. I've got a couple trades on the next slide that we can go to soon, but I missed out on quite a lot of the number ones in the lines. Now I've got Heaney, I've got Flanders, I've got Luke Bryan, Sarong, and even Tom Green as well. They're just all sort of performing so now. But, the first 6 to 10 weeks of the season, these guys were all 130 plus, and I had to sort of use 12 trades just to get into all of them to avoid getting the damage that other people were just doing.
As well. Yeah.
Tom Green was averaging 140, Heaney was averaging 140, and I ended up paying, 600K plus for all these players because I've started, like Jordan Dawson, Hayden Young, just trying to, go for upside or whatever, and sort of missed some of the what seemed to be, obvious kind of picks. But,
And would you say with the 40 trades we've had this year that the mid-price approach that you took at the start of the season, so I think from memory you started Riley Bonner, you started, it's just skipping was it Jared Lyons, those kinds of players that you thought maybe afford a little bit of price? Because I did the same thing. Ollie Wines, because we got the more trades, is sort of a stepping stone to an Uber premium. Do you think that was the wrong approach at the end of the day?
Look, I don't know. I think you sort of just got to get the right ones, because there's been a few, like as you say, Bonner, Jared Lyons, that haven't really worked out. But then there's also been Charlie Comben, Massimo D'Ambrosio. There's still those players that do start at a decent sort of price that you can, bring them all the way up for 200, 250K. And I mean, I know Sam Closey was 102K, but the amount of money he made just really, really valuable. So you can still get, I think, the right ones. But I reckon I probably started too many, Lyons, Bonner, James Jordan, trading into Tom Powell when everyone thought he might be a, top 6 forward.
That was,
Zach Fisher, who's just sort of had a weird sort of up and down season. They're all just kind of moves that maybe in hindsight I wouldn't start with, but that's life. What can you do?
Oh, good. On your trades then, mate, we won't go through it all, but could you pinpoint perhaps your favorite trade of the season, and then on the flip side, your least favorite trade of the season?
I think maybe my least favorite trade of the season, there's a few there.
There's a few there.
I tried a strategy in 2023, which worked out quite well for me. I can't remember who I traded out, but I brought in big Kieran Briggs when he was, sitting at the floor of his, his base. He dropped, 100 and 100 and whatever. And I just went, you know what? It works with the buy strategy, Gawn, Grundy, Briggs. And Briggs was a great hold, made 300K, and then, used that to get a last upgrade. I tried it again this year with Jordan Sweet. I remember he had a huge game against us. And I thought, well, if he can average 80 or even 70, he could have made 200K in a matter of weeks. But then he had, an 80, another 80, missed 2 weeks, and then a 60 or something like that. And it was just too long while, other people were still holding Grundy. And I remember at that time, he really turned it around as well. He was averaging maybe 95 or something like that. But then they got a run at the SCG and he went 120, 130. And I thought, well, this probably hasn't worked out much at all. But yeah, I think that was probably my worst. My best trade in here, I'd have to have a bit of a closer look. I thought round 4 was going to be the making of my team with Took Miller as well. I got Fisher, Jordan, and Gibcus out. Jordan probably hit his peak, and Fisher and Gibcus had to go at that time. I went Flanders, Miller, and Josh Draper, which didn't really look too bad. Josh Draper was solid cover, but I thought Flanders and Miller, 2 premiums. Here we go. So I thought that was a pretty good week. But, the trades have been decent, I think.
Yeah.
It was just sort of moving out of some of the players at the start that sort of made it a bit hard to keep up. So,
fair enough. I guess one thing that's sort of like a slide indoors moment, I've just seen in round 14 that in Brody Grundy at 584, I'm assumed that's straight after their bye. And we just think now, Tristan Cherry, how underrated he was at that point in time. Same with you, Di, I think there.
Yeah, absolutely,
Cherry
mate.
at Grundy over Cherry.
Yeah, it was. And I thought at the time, I think we were discussing because this was,
It was almost like a
period
done
where
deal
lots of
with
people
Grundy,
had movement around that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just clearly looking like the best option. And even his last, I think 2 out of his last 3 games at the SCG, where he was smashing out of the park, he hasn't even turned up. I think it was like a 120 something, his best score in the last 3 there. So I'll tell you what, I was just very quickly on Grundy. Now, you look back to the data, I think round 1 they played Collingwood, only scored a 70-odd. I've got a feeling this week Swans are under the pump.
Yeah.
Grundy's been out of form. They need to win. They need to show why they are up there in premiership contention at the moment. I think Brodie Grundy is going to be a pod VC for me this week. If you want to go right away from the pack, it's
Don't
all
mind
gut
it.
feel. We talk
Don't
about
mind
gut
it
feel
either.
here, Janath, and there's no data that's going to back me up on this. And I've looked at it. I've tried to look for some,
That's okay.
and I haven't got it. But we'll talk about captains a little bit later on. But I'm expecting a big one from Brodie. He's going to go, sorry, boys, I've let you down.
Yeah.
Tristan, who? Don't worry, I'm big Brodie Grundy here.
Whoa.
It's interesting.
Where I tell you what, Brodie Grundy this week, he'll put 30 points on Sherry. He'll put 30 points on him this week.
I like it. And you know what? Very interesting, DR, that you bring that up because we've got 14 captains. Grundy isn't on that list, but we've got 2 other Swannies in there to really right this wrong with their
overlooked.
Their form. So, just very quickly on that, DR and Spilsy, I know that you boys like our stuff. Ross, you just want to give them an insight into what a week at third man up looks like?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got our rookie data dump. We've got our captain's corner, normally one on a Wednesday, one on a Thursday. So usually we split it between us, who's doing what for the week. Janath usually takes the captains. I usually take the rookies. We've just got the spreadsheet set up better that way. Get the research done, sort of share any thoughts that we have with each other, like in our in our post, we have a little bit of a text blog for like interesting sort of things to note. We sort of just look over it and make sure that everything we put in is correct. And if we're happy with it, like rookie verdicts or top 3 captains and vices for the week, then we just sort of put it out and hope for the best on the weekend. Really.
Yeah, so like I guess one of the things that sort of goes understated is how long some of those things really do take. Like putting together numbers, it's not automated or anything. We don't just
it's crazy.
Supercoach website just comes straight in. So it does take a while, but it's so vindicated being able to share it on the podcast every week or being able to put it out in a public forum like Third Man Up. So that's something we really appreciate. In that
Can I just jump in as well? Sorry. I know that we've been really humbled by how much we've grown as a podcast, the Swordplay Potty this year. But I'll tell you what, blokes, at the Third Man Up, most definitely, I think up there with the most popular AFL and Supercoach, do you call it analytics type?
Analytics they are probably the biggest analytics in terms of Supercoach and fantasy. I don't think there'd be many bigger.
Best of the best, in my opinion, up there with Jaden and the boys there, because the data that you guys put out is fantastic. It's easy to follow. It's color coded for the people that aren't too bright like myself. Just great work, boys. And I know that, doing stuff like the stock market videos, it takes a lot of time. The research, the number crunching, it takes a lot of time. So massive respect to you guys. You deserve every compliment that you get and every bit of praise you receive because you're a beacon in the X community in particular. So, thank you very much from behalf of all of us. I know it's the first thing I go to each week when it's time to select your captains. What are these 2 blokes doing? Most likely jump on board. So thank you very much, guys, from all of us.
I guess we might as well share some exciting news. Is that next year we're hoping to enter into Instagram and Facebook as well. So try to reach a broader audience.
Spreading the tentacles,
not just Elon's minions on X. That's for sure.
Love it, mate. Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll be able to get that one going and be across all of it. So
that's it.
No, good stuff.
All right.
Lads.
Well,
that's awesome.
With that, Spilsy, we should just wipe out the DR's part of this because I reckon that this is your rant for the taking here. Go on, mate.
Oh, boys. Oh, this upset me so much today at lunch. I'm not going to lie. What is this? What is this page?
Taking it personally.
having a bit of a scroll on TikTok as you do at lunchtime. Don't mind doing that. And I stumble across this, and I look at it, like I just looked at one of these videos here. They're all pretty similar. I was thinking something looks awfully familiar about the background of these videos, and well, as you can see there on the right, well, it's basically a replica of my logo that I designed about 3 years ago, and a Temu
version. Wish
hasn't been edited properly. If you're gonna do it, at least I wish at least do it properly. If you're gonna steal it, do it properly. So, look, this kind of lad, he's probably a good bloke, and I don't know him from a bar of soap, so probably a bit stiff on the individual. But this is plagiarism if I've ever seen it.
Spilsy, let's put an ultimatum. If Connor's Supercoach owns up that this is plagiarism, you will design him a new logo.
Oh.
No.
No.
I reckon that sounds like just wanted that one away.
And the reason I have is because it's not just the logo he's taken. It's the handle is a bit familiar as well. Supercoach Elites. I feel like I've heard of that handle before, boys. I'm not sure. So I think this larrikin might owe us to a couple of dinners, hot dinners, if you will. So bit flat about this one, boys, and maybe I've gone a little bit too hard on the poor fella. If you're watching, you're probably a good bloke, and I do apologise. But seriously, man, you get a lot more reward out of it making your own logo. And like, I was very happy when I finally come out with this. It took me a long time to get it right, and when I did, I was absolutely wrapped with it. So I'd back to the drawing board. I say I won't really comment too much now. What do you reckon, boys? Was this unnecessary, or can you see the?
I can see it. I can see it.
There's some sort of the saying, something through flattery, imitation.
What is the one?
Imitation is the best flattery? Form of flattery?
Is the best form of flattery, yes, that's the one.
There we go, Spills. So what we mean by that is that, is it Connor? I'm going to call him Cooper.
Connor, yeah.
Connor's gone, look.
So if he's copied my logo, it must be a good logo.
I'll look up to this great man. And if that's the way that he does it, then that's the way that I want to do it too.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Or maybe he's seen that I haven't uploaded to YouTube in about a year, and he's gone, look, this guy's logo is too good to just leave behind. I might carry on his legacy. But I'm still on TikTok. I still use the logo, so let's get another one. But probably unnecessary, but just thought I'd address that because it was the biggest spin out. I was like, what's going on here? But anyway.
On a positive, we do have a new segment designed specifically for you, mate. So this is Spills' tweet of the week. I know it's late in the year, and Spilsy has dug up a tweet from 5 months ago, but not 4 months ago, but still, I think we should acknowledge this. So Spilsy, take us away. What is the meaning of this segment, and why specifically this tweet?
Well, it's going to be called the tweet of the week. So what I will do is, because Supercoach is tough at times, particularly for me this week, and I wanted to bring a little bit of lightheartedness to the potty, and I thought, I always see some gold on Twitter every week. There's one comment that, and it doesn't have to be funny either. It could be really relatable. Like if one of the Supercoach community lads or whatever comments on a big dog journo's like post or whatever, it gets a heap of likes. It's really relatable. Like we can chuck that in there. So it's whether it could be humor or relatable or whatever. But this was a long time ago, this tweet. But boys, this is a benchmark tweet. This is probably the most I laughed after a tweet. So George, when he posted, this is obviously about Luke Ryan when he was absolutely stat padding. I reckon it was a Richmond game where he basically went 200. He's gone, Usain Bolt would lose a race to Luke Ryan if the finish line was a kick out or a kick in or out on the fall, which is like, we can all relate to that. Like, that's the benchmark. So every week, boys, I'm going to be really having a look at Twitter, and if there's some gold, you might get lucky. You might feature on the podcast. And DR and I were talking on the phone as well. Like if you this could be anticipated. Like, I wonder what Spills is going to put on the tweet of the week this week, and will people on the Twitter scheme of things lift up their game, knowing that I'll be watching and I'll be scouting for the best possible tweets.
If there's a good tweet out there, just add it at Spills SC, and you might feature as well. But with that Spilsy, do you reckon the pig is back? Do you reckon Lukey Ryan is back in business?
It's
Being
tough,
at the game live.
He was, everything that Longmuir said in that press conference. I mean, it just went out the window for the time being, and he's junking it up when like you own him, but you're getting frustrated watching it. I'm just thinking like, come on, man, like just do something.
Did you
like
see him and Corey Wagner play kick to kick at one point?
Yeah, they were getting booed, boys. It was like I reckon it was at the punt road end, like basically where I was, and the Bombers cheer squad, they were going off, and like I don't know if I've been living under a rock for all this time, but like our supporters, I mean, they just need to chill out, eh? Like I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad, but like they are off their heads at times. I'm like people screaming at the umpires, like calling them yellow maggots. Like, mate, he was literally tackled one. It's fine. Like, give it a spell. So, but yeah, I don't know. Bit of lightheartedness to this podcast. I will see how this goes. I don't really have a permanent segment. Like DR's got his rant, Janath's got all of his analytics stuff, and what do I bring to the table? Well, maybe Spills his tweet of the week. So yeah, if you're in good form on Twitter,
Spills, you're much more than that, mate.
I know. I'm talking like segments and stuff like that, but yeah, just
all good. Well, with that, boys, let's go on into the hot topics for this week then, and we'll specifically talk about the injuries. I've got a mini rundown of all the key injuries from this week. We're surviving. We're dodging all the bullets and everything at the moment. Let's fingers crossed that continues. Charlie Curnow is a test to play this week, so rolled his ankle on the weekend. I thought it was more serious than that watching live, because when Charlie goes down, you never, just with his history from a couple of years ago, you just hope for the best. With that, but he should be right to play according to Riley Beveridge, which is good. Jordan DeGoey, unfortunately, probably came back too early from his quad injury, and he did a high-grain quad or groin injury. He did a high-grain hamstring tendon, and so he's out for the season. Saad El Howley is a test to play this week. Spilsy, come in, mate. Give us your inside scoop. Any chance of him getting a debut to end the season, like good mate? What was his name? The Archie Roberts. Any chance for Saad debut?
Well, I loved Archie on the weekend. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. But there were a few blokes that I absolutely hated. Had me tearing my hair out, and regardless of week one, they were unbearable. So really stiff. But I'm going to throw him under the bus. So Jai Menzies should be in the team. Full stop. Don't like him.
Bang.
So
drive by.
Yeah, rip Jai. I'm sorry, Jai, if you're watching.
Anymore?
Yeah.
Anymore?
Yeah. Jake Kelly, I think he needs a spell.
Bang.
So I think you can have Davey coming in for Menzies, and I think Saad Al-Hawley could come in for Kelly. That's a big call, but he's someone that's really out of form. Cox is frustrating, but plays a pretty pivotal role, so I don't really see how he gets dropped. And I think there's another one as well that was frustrating me, but they're like the three that stand out, and two in particular that I think I don't want to see him in the team, and I'd love to see like Saad come in for Kelly just for a go. Why not? Yeah. But it is a bit late. Your VFL form was spectacular before he got injured. We all know what he did.
Probably, I would say that he played 1 week in the VFL at least before he wouldn't come. Because he wasn't in the AFL team. You wouldn't debut him straight off an injury. You wouldn't think.
What I will say is you probably want him to hit some really good form in the VFL and wrap him in cotton wool for next year, because we don't want him to play one game of footy and then have an elevated price to 190K. We saw that with Goda, I don't know, last year or whatever. It was frustrating because great rookie, but it's a fair price to pay. So I hope he doesn't play. But boys, one for our Supercoach Sams, I'm telling you, he's an absolute jet. What a bargain.
Off topic, but is there more infuriating key defensive pairing than Jaden Laverty and Ben Mackay? When the ball is on the ground, you could literally go anywhere with them because they got no hands. Go on, Ross. Who
one here? Dougal Howard and Zane Cordy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Rossco's going to raise you.
I will say, like, Benny has moments where he's really good, and the first half of the year was spectacular from him and looked every bit worth it. Has dropped off a bit, and I love the way Dosser goes about it too. Like, he's someone that, a few things he doesn't get right all the time, but like, he just goes super hard, and he is a little bit of that edge that gets overlooked in that Bombers lineup. Everyone else offensively gets spoken about, but yeah, I was never big on Dosser like a year or so ago, but I don't mind him now as that third tall. He really gives it a crack. Him and Guelphy, they're the guys that really do the team thing. So it's more Nick Cox. I'm not really, not a big fan of Coxie, but look, that's another
He was
story.
looking so good in his
The
first
unicorn.
year as well. I thought that this guy's potential is just, wow. Like, look at the size. I mean, he's playing wing, like, just... Yeah, hasn't come on, has he? I know he's been battling with some injury, but just really hasn't come on. I really hope that he does, because these are the sort of bloke skills really that you need to progress their game to have any hope of having some sort of success. I think we need the Nick Coxes of the world to really, really develop into superstar players. I think Zach Reed, what's going to happen with him, with his body?
That's the worst draft, boys. Like, that's the worst draft. Like,
Perkins was in
Danaher.
that draft,
Perko was all right, but like you lose Danaher and Sard, and you gain Cox and Reed. I mean, what a flop.
That was
Danaher's. He's still got Spills. Don't worry, he's still got Nick Hines. So he'll be okay.
Hindy boy.
Sam DeConning for Geelong is a test to play. So, look, that looked like a serious injury at the time as well. So, good thing that he escaped with nothing, apparently. Touk Miller's still 1 week away. I feel like it's been 1 week away for 3 weeks now.
Yeah,
but
it has.
Look, that wrist, and I think it was Matt, Touk is not a pod that you want at this time of the season, especially off an injury. At GWS, now this information may impact those that own James Peatling. Josh Kelly is right to go, and Stephen Caniglia is a test. So whether that impacts Peatling's role, whether it impacts does he go to the sub, is he out of the team altogether? You'd think that he wouldn't be out of the team. He's a pretty important player, but he could either have a poorer role or be made the sub that he's played in the past there as well. Stephen May is a TBC. Now, this doesn't specifically impact any Melbourne play in general, but is this sort of the cue and the rack moment for the D's? So is something to it? Maxi Gorn, not saying that he's not going to play as the captain, but is it resting him a little bit more in game? So does that bring down the likelihood of putting him in a captaincy loophole? Just something to consider there. Sackfish is a test. So North Melbourne have come out and said that he still needs to get through, I think, skills training and main training to get in. So I'll read the exact quote for you boys here. So what they've said is, Sack has had a couple of weeks of management and deloading his plantar fascia to improve his symptoms and function. This week, we will see him back in group skills and will assess his function at a high level during main training to assess his availability for this week. So it's a trip to Hobart. Does he make it? It's still sort of neither here nor there. Something just monitored throughout the week. And the other one, there's George Wardlaw. Again, 1 week. This probably positively impacts LDU, Sheasel, Simpkin, as we saw on the weekend, although Simpkin probably didn't capitalize on the opportunity which he did have there. Anything else, boys, that you want to add? Go on, Ross, mate.
Can I jump in there with relation to George Wardlaw? I've got a bit of a funny story that makes me a bit sick to the stomach, but it is what it is. So I've been collecting the select footy cards this year, boys, and I got very lucky. I was sitting around at home and I cracked open a pack, saw a lovely shiny blue and gold card and went, what's this? North Melbourne Rising Star Predictor card. At this point, George Wardlaw and Colby McKercher are 1 and 2 in the Rising Star race. George Wardlaw, probably like out and out favourite. He's averaging 22 touches and a goal a game. Like, he's just flying along. Since then, he's had a concussion for 2 weeks. He's currently in the middle of another concussion for 2 weeks. Ollie Dempsey has just flown along. McKercher went out with a foot injury for a couple of weeks. And currently Dempsey is the red-hot favourite to win it, which means my card, which I could have sold for $300 on eBay a couple of weeks ago,
Oh.
or just held it and got the
Yeah.
super cool limited to 300 signed Rising Star winner card, is
Yeah,
probably
gotta
going to be
hold.
worthless. But
That's okay. So
Oh,
just hold on,
Rossco.
quick one here. What does McKercher need to average to win the Rising Star from here, do you reckon?
I still don't think he can do it, even if he averages whatever.
45 touches in the last 3 games?
I think he missed, 8 weeks. Like, I just don't think you can win it regardless. Like,
Yeah.
Dempsey's had a full season, had multiple best on ground performances. And I mean, McKercher's numbers have still been very good, but I don't think he can get there.
How about if Kyle Loman kicks 3 bags of 5 in the next 3 weeks, boys? My man, Kyle, I'll tell you, watching
Don't have
him
a car
live,
card, though.
Cobra Kai.
the Cobra, he's very, very, very quickly becoming one of my favorite players.
He's
Is
so good
to
in the
watch.
air. Like, he doesn't drop a mark.
I think he's going to have to find his way out of young Angus McLennan's back pocket first. First game on the weekend, kept Kyle Loman on clamps, number 41 for the Saints.
You were right, Ross. He does look a bit like Nick Caulfield. I was wondering whether Nick Caulfield was reincarnated at the Saints.
I'm telling you, it's his double. I was sitting there on Sunday. It's his double.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing, actually. When I was looking up there, it does look like that is a very, very solid call, actually, mate. A very solid call. Yeah.
No, I got no idea.
Nothing to add from my end, though, mate.
Cool, mate.
Going pretty well. There was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, with the Carnage just smashed us. Suspensions.
It's been pretty good. It's been a really good week.
Knock on wood, boys. With 2 more weeks to go.
I don't really want to knock on wood. I've got 2 trades in the bank. I want people to start suffering so I can get an advantage. Like, come on, like, where's all these blokes going down? I could have used them to make my team better and got a Sinclair or one of these blokes. I'm like, no. Waiting for next week's Carnage when people have got no trades, bad luck people. I'll jump on a couple of nice primos here. It's not happening. So, come on, where's just a little bit of Carnage?
Now he's got the demon on his shoulder.
He's got the demon.
I do. Just a little bit of Carnage.
Can I just jump in here, boys? Like,
go on,
Rossco was giving some really good insight about the third man up, and I was just checking the group chat I saw this come up, and I had a bit of a cheeky laugh at it, but it probably out of context, it probably looked like I was laughing at what Ross was saying. But it was actually this meme. So what boys, what's going on here, Janath? That's just what we're just talking about.
This is just the epitome of what first week of finals look like. But I guess that the major point which I just want to talk about is, so last week we were going on about how you don't want to necessarily put your VC on a player in the first game of the round because you want to know what your opponent's doing. But I guess a really good lesson, that a great feature that Supercoach Gold provides, and all this data here is for the top 1%. So personally, from my perspective, looking for rankings, I'm really looking at what are the top 1% doing, because when Bontempelli is owned by 97.5% of the top 1%, and this is the data for this week, but last week he was VC'd by 60.5% of the top 1%. So a term that we use in a fantasy Premier League is called effective ownership. And effective ownership is basically the addition of how many people own him around your rank and how many people percentage captain him around your rank. So if you have an effective ownership above 100%, so in the case of Bontempelli, if he's owned by 97.5% and he's VC'd by 60%, he's got an ownership of 157%. Meaning that if you don't captain him, you want him to go under 120. Like, it doesn't benefit you for him to go big because you don't captain him. So one theory that I'm taking is that unless a pod or unless a less popularly owned premium has a perfect matchup, and when I say perfect, I mean like Tristan Cherry against Geelong, a Blundstone Arena style matchup, that VC or C is not going on a pod. I think the best way to do this is to put the VC or C on a pod, on a really popularly owned player, so that you're minimizing the risk of it going worse. And yes, it's sort of counterintuitive. What we were talking about last week, boys, where we're like, oh, you can VC your opponent's C, but that's assuming that your opponent's VC doesn't go 182. because they're not going to need their C at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's just something which I'm just debriefing from last
Didn't
week.
work
For
for
anyone
me.
that just wants to gain an insight into why it's important to go with the popular option at times as well. Boys, do we have anything you want to add to that?
Look, when it comes to EPL talk, I have no idea, mate. I know Ronaldo, Messi, and Mbappe. Apart from that, I'm not fantastic with my knowledge on soccer. So FPL stuff, I've got no idea about. But I do know that even in the content creators group that we've got there, lots of keen people ready to give that a bit of a rock and roll as well. So maybe that's something we can do. If there's enough people interested, then you can take over the channel with some FPL talk one time, boys. Because Rossco, you're a bit of an FPL player, aren't you, champion?
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of FPL. It's very rare that I would get up to watch a lot of the games, barring my boys Liverpool. But you know, it's still pretty easy to follow with, you know, Opta Sport, full highlights packages, all the goals, that sort of stuff. Plus, there's that many stats floating around online that, you know, you can sort of pick a good team and, you know, make informed choices without having to watch it all, you know.
Yep. Rossco's still trying to catch up to me from last year, though.
Yeah, right. I was up there, and then Erling Haaland killed me because I was sort of anti-podding him for the last sort of 10 weeks of the season.
It's the same principle. Don't anti-pod the popularly owned players.
And it got me up to top 60K at one stage. But then there was just 1 week where he had a hat-trick against some spud team like Bournemouth or something like that. And, you know, his effective ownership was 200 plus. People were using their triple captain on him, and I just sunk like
triple captain. Crikey!
Yeah.
Just he scored a hat trick and scored like 20, which is a really high score for FPL in a week. People were just getting 60 points straight off the bat, and I didn't even own him at all, you know. So the rank just plummeted. But
and 60K very quickly. When you said you had a 60K rank, how many players are we talking about here? How many?
10 million plus.
Wow. Okay, so 60K
it's massive.
Out of 10 million.
It's the equivalent, I say, of a top 100 rank in Supercoach.
There you go. Because I thought, you know, people that may not be familiar with the game, and I'm not either, but I've heard about how many people actually play it. When they hear 60K, Rossco's like a bit of a head wobble with 60K. People are thinking, hang on, what's going on here? There are millions and millions of people that play this game. So 60K is fantastic, mate. Congratulations on that. That's brilliant.
Well, it wasn't 60K at the end of the season, which was the problem. There's still I was around 300,000, so that was still pretty decent for my first real season to give it a go. Yeah, but next year, I think the Third Man Up Cup will be back again. My mate, who's not on Twitter or anything, I just gave him a code for a league to join because he wanted a league to join, and he ended up winning the whole thing. So, you know, hopefully we'll get someone that's a bit more online this year.
That's nuts.
Yeah, no, he's a big FPL nuff, but he's just not from the Twitter community or anything like that. I knew him through uni, so
wowee, that is unreal.
You know, well, we'll try. We're definitely going to bring that back up this year. So we'll see how we go. Now, boys, we're going to do a little bit of.
This is going to be good.
We're going to do a little bit of a twist here. Now we're going to do a little bit of a draft. We're going to pick 3 locks each, but we cannot pick the same player. Now, as a courtesy, Ross, as the guest on the channel, we'll let you go first. Spilsy, as bottom off the pod, you can go second. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. As third on the pod, you can go second.
Yeah, you
can go third. I'll go fourth, and we'll repeat that order 3 times to get through these locks.
He's clearly taking Jules' advice, DR.
Isn't
he? Yeah,
too nice of a bloke. He's been on fire tonight.
Yeah, that's it.
So Rossco, mate, hit us up with your first lock. Now, remember, you want to try and get a lock that we don't, that we also want here. So let's go.
Look, I think I'm going to take my boy, Mateus Filippo. I've got his Guernsey signed and framed up on my wall, which is a sign of how big I am on him on the kid. You know, he's had a couple of really good games. Should hopefully get a nice price drop. I know SDS did a bit of a projection. Hopefully he sits somewhere between 200 and 250. I think playing full-time mid for us is a decent enough role, and depending on our structure next year, we might have Steele, plus, I don't know, we might have Crouch, Paddy Dow. I know they're not really great names, but they would sort of take all of the sort of in and under work, and Filippo can sort of be the clearance guy, working around the ground and at a low price. If you can score a couple of hundreds, I think you could get 150K plus easily. And I think if he's fit, his role should be guaranteed top 10 pick, wants to play midfield. Ross Lyon wants him to play midfield. So he's who I'm going to take.
If the season ended today, he would be, I don't know if he's going to get an injury discount, but he would be 310K approximately as a forward mid, which is very good dealing. Spilsy, your second pick, mate. Your first pick, but the second pick.
Look, there's quite a fair few that I've got to choose from. The second pick yet. So not obviously there's the big names. So I'm going to avoid like the ones that are just going to be 30%, 40% above. And I like Brayshaw, boys. Andy Brayshaw. So this is a real left field one. So being carried an injury all year. I think I was watching George's review on Monday morning. I think he might have had some sort of like ingrown toenail, like something really random. Oh. And for the first half of the year, it was bugging him. Just somebody, I don't know. I should have rewatched the video so I could actually get the proper source. But as a result, he was not fit at all for the first half of the year. But apparently now he is. And yeah, you look at his form in recent weeks, it's been unbelievable. And because of those howlers not being completely fit, he's going to be extremely discounted for what he could do. I see him as probably, I reckon at least a top 10 midfielder. And yeah, I really like him. He's 612K now, so he's getting up there. And well, he's got a 5-round average of, I just have to find this. I'll get up on my phone now, but he's got 3 137s in a row, 100 and a 128. So
yeah, good.
Pretty crazy stuff. So Andy B, real left field. And
if he maintains this average spills, he'll be 598K to start the season as a mid only. So
that's good.
There's some
good.
value there.
I reckon.
Will just comes down to who the midfielders are. DR, who's your first lock for 2025 of the names?
First lock for me in 2025 is a man that I don't currently have, but has been killing me for the last 2 months. It's the big boy, Tristan Sherry. I think he's going to be my lock at R1 next year. I think the new tackle rule has also really helped him. He's an absolute beast of a bloke coming into his prime year. It's really been the first season where he's had that number one mantle. Had Goldie there in the past. So with Goldie gone, he's really stepped up. I know Rossco's boys were pretty keen on him, was it a year or two ago, trying to bring him across to Moorabbin, but wouldn't cough up. Was it a second-round pick? I think we were talking about this the other week, boys. But he's an absolute beast, this fella. I think with Gawn could be an All-Australian ruckman again next year. Never write the big man off, but I just think at that age, a few injury niggles coming, I'm not looking at big Maxi. Better as a team, absolutely a better midfield around him as well, Janath. And I just think this bloke's going to go from strength to strength. Now, I'm not going to say that he's going to put lots and lots of points on his average. I'm not going to say that there's going to be a heap of value to him, but I think he's going to be
if he stays at this average.
I'm happy to just pay up that for a ruck. You know, we've got 3 spots in our ruck. You usually have that DPP loop there if you can at R3. So I don't want to stuff up with the rucks. That ruck merry-go-round, it seems like we go through the same thing each year. Talked about Sweet before Rossco. I've had Moyle in as well. It's just been all over the shop. So just lock in Big Tristan, I think, for me at R1 2025.
Brilliant. My first lock in the midfield is a player that has come back from injury about halfway through the season. We've talked a bit about him on the channel. Will Day, as a midfield only, nice. I think poses a lot of value.
Spills a spiel when you said that.
Yeah, I was literally.
I know.
Love it.
He's only averaging 100.6, so there's going to be value. If he finishes at this average, he'll be about 550K. And if the way that he plays is sort of the lead for the Hawks. Yes, he got tagged on the weekend, but generally he can shake off a tag. He goes behind the ball sometimes to sort of save the game as well. I just think that he's just a player that you love to watch and look, I think he is one of the locks which I'll happily start next year if the value stays similar to what it is currently. All right, Russ, second time round, mate. Who's your second lock?
Now, about half an hour ago, I said I'm going to stop value hunting and going mid-price madness. But a lot of people were on this bloke at the start of this season, and it didn't work out. Supercoach with DR is his number one fan. Kitty Coleman, off an ACL.
Oh, you didn't, Rossco.
He took it.
He just swept me under the
This
rug.
is why I don't play draft anymore. I can't handle it.
So he doesn't have to pick up Sam Petrevsky-Seaton.
Hell, these two blokes, Bills, Day and Coleman, with their number two. Bugger off, boys.
At 300K, I think he'll be around 300K. If he can get back to this 2023 final series scoring, he was on like 60 right before he did his ACL as well. If he gets that Zorko role, I don't know what they're going to do with Zorko. I think he could be a very good value proposition for us, assuming that he shows us something in the preseason. He's fit for round one. That's it.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Very well
Like
said,
it,
mate. I'm all over him as well.
I don't have the exact number, but I think SDS did it. It'll be in that 200 to 250K range for Kitty.
Oh.
So it's
Lock
going to be
him in.
It's one of those players that, look, if he looks good in preseason, like you say, mate, just lock him in for sure.
Yep.
Spilsy, your second pick, mate.
Yep. So I'm going to go first pick in the forward line anyway. So I'm looking at Bailey Smith. So yeah, going to be really heavily discounted.
That's
Baslenka.
314K is what he'll be priced at.
I think that only means. Yeah. So I think whether it's Hawthorn or Geelong, I think it's one of the two he definitely goes to. Regardless, full-time midfield, surely. And ACL, he looks pretty fit, boys. I don't know if he's followed his Instagram, but it looks like he's well past that. And the fact that he has not been playing, I mean, already, he looks fit to go. So, I don't know. It looks like he's on his way out to me. And I think if he's at another club and playing, I think he's definitely going to be playing bulk mid minutes. He won't be playing any wing or half forward. This will be the year of Bailey Smith, and really good for his mental state. And at low 300K, Janath. Locking that every day of the week in the forward line. So can't go past Baz.
DR, your second pick, mate.
I'm going to go with the man. Now, I haven't lost faith in this bloke. I don't blame people that have. But we are talking about a bloke who, at a young age, should be absolute prime at the moment, who's absolutely fallen off the rails Supercoach-wise this year, but still a bloke that from his second season has been an absolute Supercoach elite. He's already in the Supercoach Hall of Fame.
Oink.
And it's the piggy himself, oink, oink, Clayton Oliver. If you want to talk about value blokes for potential, now this is, if he gets all the off-field stuff right, if he has a proper preseason, this could be the best value pick that we've seen in the history of the game, if he can get himself right. Again, I've started this bloke for close to 700K on more than 2 occasions in the past, and we know what he's like when he's on his game. Now, this has been a shocker of a season, but you know what? I'm going to give him a bit of a mulligan here. I'm really, really hoping, genuinely, not even thinking about Supercoach, this bloke gets his life on track and we see the best of Clayton Oliver, because it would be such a shame if he just sort of faded into irrelevance, because he is such a beast. He is such a gun, this fella. We know what he's like Supercoach-wise. History suggests that if he gets back, he can be M1 to M3. He's got that sort of potential. So, Clary for me, boys, assuming that things look good, then he gets a proper preseason.
And we know what he's like at Adelaide Oval as well. He's probably going to be playing.
Yeah, could be playing there 12 games this build.
And he priced around 475K. So it is an awkward price. So I think we really do need that real good preseason from him to really confirm that, because the lack of a preseason has really cooked his year so far.
Yeah,
absolutely, mate.
You boys are going with the popular names and all that. I know I went with Will Day the first time around. I'm going to go very left field here. And it's a player that I owned as a rookie last year. Now, he hasn't played at all this season. I'm going to give the 2-for-1 because, like, come on. I'm going obscure names here. I'm going to give the 2-for-1 special. We own these players both as rookies this season. Both of them haven't played this season, and both of them should have good roles for next season. The first one is Elijah Hewitt from the West Coast Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Elijah Hewitt, famously bumped off the ball by Jordan DeGoey, but he when he was in the midfield, he was looking very, very good. 255K this season, hasn't played at all through injury. Highly touted at the Eagles. Should be a baseman rookie or close to a 150K midfield forward rookie, which is something that we may be wanting for next season. So he's going to hold that DPP as well. And the second one is another player, another rookie we had last season. Now, he hasn't played again this season. This is mainly due to the amount of midfielders the Swannies have, but Angus Sheldrick. He was a points per minute pig last year. Absolutely. When he wasn't the sub, he was putting up good Supercoach numbers, and it just happened to be that the Swans were really good this season and he got injured, so he just couldn't get into the team. So I reckon there's my 2-for-1 special there. Angus Sheldrick and Elijah Hewitt under 200K. Hopefully Sheldrick doesn't come into the team and ruin his price. But yeah, they're the two. They're my 2 second picks.
Love it, mate.
All right. I think it's on me for the last of my selections. I think I might do this one in a little bit of a Guess Who format.
Here we go.
All right.
I am 28 years old.
Oh, jeez.
I have averaged 90 or higher in Supercoach in 2023, 2022, and 2021. But I only average 42 this season over more than 10 games. Anyone got any ideas?
Are they in a finals team?
They are a red hot finals team.
A red hot finals
And
team?
he played on the weekend. And scored 18.
Oh, it's sub. He has to be a sub. Caleb Daniel. Bang.
It is Caleb Daniel. Bang.
Yes. Got it.
Oh, yeah, nice. Nice little guess who there, Rossco. You should have had, with the helmet. You should have get a guess who. Does he have a helmet? We would have got it pretty quickly.
He's 190K. Now,
he's 190K right now.
Yeah, 188. Yeah, what?
Terrible.
And he's a mid forward. I did maths as well. He's had 4 games where he's played over 100 minutes this season, and he averages 68. So his 42 is just because he's been subbed in, subbed off that many times. I think he might be on the move.
That's a great shout.
And I don't think he'll be sticking around at the Bulldogs. Yeah. Like, I just can't see it.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
He'll be on the move to Collingwood, Gold Coast, somewhere like that.
Call.
Love that.
I don't know if he gets much more of a price drop than 188K.
Well, the thing is, say at the 5.5 magic number, if he doesn't play again this season, 42 average, he's going to be 230K to start next season.
230?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's still going to go up.
What position is he going to be? What are we talking?
He would keep the DPP, surely. Like, he hasn't played defense at all this season, has he?
I really don't. I haven't been following him. It's just never been of relevance to me, Caleb Daniel. So I couldn't really tell you, mate, to be quite honest. But yeah, great call.
That's a great call, mate.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping that he'd stick under 200K because that'd be really nice, That'd
be lovely.
Well, maybe if he scores another 8. If he gets an 8, yes.
Yeah, come on, Bevo. Do one thing right by us this year, mate. Come
on, once. Spilsy, your last pick, mate.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one, but I'm going to roll with it anyway because I have a really good strategy in why I'm looking at this bloke so highly. So in the midfield, as an Uber, Josh Dunkley. Now, the reason I like Dunks so much...
Are you going to give this away? Are you going to give this big 25 strategy away, are you?
What do you reckon, DR? Should I wrap it in cotton wool?
Give it
or should
in. Give it up.
Good.
Give it up.
All right.
So I think next year is a good strategy to start sides. Like, you can lock in, like, I think your Bont Dacos types, they'll be extremely highly owned. But I reckon it's a wise idea to start with, What are you laughing at?
No, Ross isn't even looking. He's taking
Rod's
notes.
got the old notebook. He's like, all right, Skills, we're taking notes here, mate, for 2025 into the vault.
I'm not. Actually looking at my phone, so I didn't see that. So yeah, terrible awareness. Good stuff, mate. That's awesome. Anyway, boys. So Dunkley, I rate him. I really rate him. So I like the idea of starting an Uber midfielder that's not vulnerable to a tag. So I don't want to start. It sounds a bit silly, but I don't want to start Zach Butters. I don't want Sarong. I don't want Neil. I don't want guys who are going to drop 80 subs because they're getting a tag from Bedford, Winhager. I mean, how many more taggers are going to come? So at least with Trelaw's been really good as well. I won't put him in there because he's going to be like 650K next year and another year older, but he falls into that same bracket. So at least with Josh Dunkley, you're paying up, but where these other Uber premiums, how many times has it hurt sides because they've paid up an extraordinary amount of money for Ubers that just get tagged and lose profit? I mean, I think Sarong was about 520K a couple of weeks ago, boys, where Dunkley wasn't the best at the start of the year. That's when Brisbane weren't rolling. Now they're rolling, and I think that will be sustainable. So I think Dunkley will just be a consistent 590, 620K midfielder all year. So lock him in.
Interesting. So if he doesn't change his price, he'll be 614K. So around that.
I don't know if I want to put the Moz on it here, DR. You might kill me.
What's he going to say?
You might have to be cautious of starting, say, Dunkley, Neil. I think Brisbane are very close to, if not, the red hot flag favourite. Now, we usually do see these premiership winning teams slow out of the blocks. If Brisbane are to win a flag, can you go ahead and start him, knowing that they've had, a couple of weeks less preseason? They might be going into round 0, as a home team and just get completely rolled off the park. Like, you never know. Does it take them a few weeks to get back into the
premiership hangover, you reckon?
One of the counterpoints I have to that is that Collingwood was a very old team. Geelong was a very old team to win the premiership. If Brizzy win it, they have a lot of young players that would sort of counteract that. So you're Chalky Neals. Dunkley's not that old. I think he's like 26, 27. He's not overly old. But Collingwood and Geelong really struggled to get out of the breaks because they probably needed those 2 weeks. But fair point. The Lions got to win it first.
Well, I'd say if our boys do win it, I might go missing until round 1. I might come home around round 1 because I tell you what, boys, celebrating it's an understatement. I will. I'll cut sick. All right, it's on me for my third one, and I'm going to stick with the Lions here. And it's another bloke who has not played an AFL game. He is the brother of Brisbane royalty already and the son of Brisbane royalty. And it is my man, Levi Ashcroft. He's come to the Lions. I don't know how much we're going to have to cough up for him, but we'll find a means to do it and a way to do it. It's been in the works for a number of years now. But this bloke has number 1 potential. I don't think that he will go number 1. So hopefully there'll be a little bit more value than the number 1 pick. But from what I've seen, boys, he will just slot into this Brisbane side without an absolute doubt next to his brother. And he's just got the talent and potential to play from round 1. So there were some people that were questioning whether Ashcroft would come into the side. It was very obvious early in the preseason that he'd already nailed down a spot. So I think that Levi will be a really nice on-field option for us. May spend a little bit of time on the outside, you'd think, with already stacked midfield, more mature midfield. But, look out for this bloke. Massive part of our future. So get a bit of Levi in you, boys.
Do you know what's funny with not funny, but typically in strong drafts with regards to father-sons, they sort of slip a little bit because they want to sort of bring up their own prospect. Like, you never take a father-son with the number 1 pick unless they're a generational talent because you want your play to be that number 1 pick.
10 grand, isn't it, from the
Sam Darcy. I think Darcy and Dacos, Dacos was the better player, but the positional value of a unicorn like Darcy is just, that's why it was bidded on first. Yeah. And so I think Levi in this year's draft, where the top 10, 15 are also even, there's no standout number 1 pick. He could go number 1 as much as he could go number 8, 9, 10 as well.
Yeah, so, absolutely, mate.
Well, you boys have left a lot of names up here, so I'm just going to rattle them off, and then you boys can add in any other names that you have as well. So, Sam Darcy, funny enough, because
nice.
if Tim English leaves, they don't have a backup ruckman. They probably can't get a quality number one ruckman from another team. Like, you're not really going out there getting a Ned Reeves type to be your premiership ruckman necessarily. I think Sam Darcy has the capability to fill in that role. I've got James Sisley down, so I know one of your boys, Ross, Josh Battle, if he goes to the Hawks as a free agent, and sort of you've got Blank, you've got Frosty signed on for another year, you've got Battle, that really opens up that intercepting ability for James Sisley, which is what we saw last season, saw glimpses of this season, but not so much in the full term role. He's sort of been playing a bit more accountable. And the other one I have here, DR, and I thought this was the play you were going to say, is your boy, who I think that the penny has really dropped for Cam Rayner as a forward. His last sort of 4 to 5 games have been exactly what you were predicting in terms of consistency from a number one pick those years ago. I think the next season, with a full preseason in the midfield, which is he didn't get this year, he could really go to that next level. And look, that midfield of Ashcroft, Dunkley, Neal, Rayner, McCluggage, probably one of the best in the comp there. So, look, it's scary times for non-Brisbane fans. Any other names, boys, that you want to add in?
I'll just add something to Rayner, and I think this has been a bit of a difference in the change around in his form, is that he's now been given the license to basically make up his own decision when he pushes up to the stoppage. So it was very structured, I think, until pretty recently. But Fags has just decided, let's just give him the reins. We'll put the trust in you, mate, to be able to make your own decisions about where you position yourself. Do you come up? Do you go back? You've been in the system long enough now. We want you to start, I suppose, taking on a little bit more responsibility. And just this bloke, he is so hard to tackle. He's so hard to tackle. Good luck. I think he got caught once on the weekend, actually, or it might have been the week before, which was pretty rare. But just the way that he bursts through, been kicking really accurately for goal as well, been spending a little bit of time in that midfield. He's that bull, that really big burst of power. This is what we're expecting and hoping from Cam Rayner. And for the first time in his career, he's had a really solid, I'll say, 4 to 5 weeks. We've seen a really good game or two here and there, but we've never seen it this consistently for this long, for a month or two. So, yeah, really good call. And I'm wrapped that I'll be able to enjoy watching this bloke play for a long time.
And so, very greedy here. There's one more player that I just want to mention.
Oh,
sorry. Just
I'm joking, mate.
We're just putting it out. We're putting it out. All right. I'm going to do a guess who version. I started the season as a defender. The next clue is I replaced an injured midfielder in the midfield halfway through the season.
I know who it is.
Ed Richards.
Who is it? Ed Richards. Bang. As a defender, who are you thinking of?
Who are you going?
Tom Stewart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't rate that.
Yeah. Gone into the mid. Yep.
It's going to be cheap. Super cheap.
I wouldn't start Tom Stewart next year, but I would start Ed Richards next year. As a defender, he'll likely keep his DPP, given he played so much of the first half of the season in defence. I think he'll be a pretty good player to start off with. And probably a bit like Dacos this year, and probably Sheasel, we may not have as many good defenders next year to start off the season with. So Ed Richards may be a slightly value-based defender that we could start. Boys, sorry, I cut you off before. Is there any other names that you want to add in?
Other than the real obvious ones like Bont, Dacos, Flanders, Sheasel, like they're the ones that they're obviously on the list, but I wanted to look. I think we all wanted to search a little bit more left field. So other than that,
I'm going to throw in one more. It's purely dependent on Jared Witts. Ned Moyle, he showed some nice scoring.
Nice. Yeah.
Like it.
I don't know whether he'd be number one ruck starting next season. I don't think Witts is going to retire, but he will be 32 or 33 off the top of my head. So hopefully
That's a good shout.
either Witts plays a lot of the season and then we get to see a 25-year-old unleashed Moyle season 2026 and get on him really cheap, or it happens next season. Who knows?
Like it, mate. Like that.
it, mate.
Very, very nice.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, look, I think they're pretty, someone like a Flanders, I think, will be a really nice option. Hopefully down back, DPP status. But really, I'm probably looking to not pay as much in the midfield next year. Probably not stuff around with the ruck. So I'll be happy to pay up in the rucks for the right two players. Happy to pay up a little bit more in defence, maybe sprinkle a Kitty Coleman in there. I don't think we'll be able to pay up for the forwards because there'll be bugger all options, let's be honest.
Rankin.
But again,
probably the best option, yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yes, go.
Rankin's probably the best option, yeah.
We'll lock in Isaac then. Nice and easy. But the strategy that Spills and I were talking about legitimately just on the phone pre-podcast was we know for a fact that the blokes that get tagged are going to have a tag game and just bottom out in price. That's why I really like Spills' view with someone like a Dunkley, is that hopefully you're thinking he'll be a little bit more consistent to start off the year, whereas some of these other blokes that are going to cop a hard tag and eventually have a poor game will bottom out and then you can jump on them. I know all the planets need to align and timing needs to be perfect, but that'll be a big strategy for me, I think, not paying up as much in the midfield unless your name is Marcus Bontempelli.
100%.
On that, boys, Bont was the only player this year to not... Well, Bont, so far, is the only player this year not to go below 600K. So
is he ever going to win a Brownlow? Like
this year?
What more does he have to do?
Neil, give them all a Brownlow, three-way tied. Yeah. They all deserve it.
Just Bont. He's just the best player, full stop. Has been for 4 years.
But yeah, that was a really good discussion, boys. But went a bit longer than we thought, but I think he was really good insight into how we've sort of started to forecast towards 2025, whilst also keeping one eye open for the rest of this year as well. With that, let's get into the mailbag.
All righty, legends. So again, thank you very much to anyone that has sent a question through. Now, boys, we've only got 8 this week, so I think this is a bit of a low record, isn't it, for a fair while? But look, with lots of people running out of trades, you may have unfortunately dropped out of your Supercoach finals. Very much expect at this stage of the year that the interest does go down a little bit. But thank you very much to anyone that is still with us at the moment and watching. We really do appreciate your support, boys. So first one we got here is from Frogger, absolute legend. How are you, mate? Appreciate you, buddy. Strategy-wise, would you condone an approach of a slower trading cadence in 2025, a bit closer to the old days? Or do you think that pedal to the metal, racing to get to full premium and hang on for dear life on the run home is a way to go and just hope that your luck holds? This is a fantastic question. Spilsy, I might just quickly go to you here, mate, because we, again, were talking about this pre-podcast, weren't we, about the almost the fantasy style approach that people are taking these days as compared to the old school Supercoach approach. And we were talking about how much we'd stuffed around with trades and I'd boosted out Martin nice and early on. So I might just get you to juggle this one first, mate. What are you thinking? Do you think that next year it's better to have that slower trading cadence, maybe sit on a couple of extra trades, or still, let's just go absolutely nuts. It's a race to see who can get to full premium first, and whatever happens from there happens. What do you think, mate? Which way are you leaning at the moment, buddy? I'm
going to say, I'll probably answer you once, but I'm going to say lean on the fence a bit here. I think it's about moderation. So you're not going to be, just because we got the trades, doesn't mean we palm off premiums like we did at the start of the season, like it's AFL fantasy. But in saying that, like the key is to obviously get as many rookies off the field. So you want to be aggressive. You want to keep trading every week to get premiums, but hold those premiums. I think what happened this year is we've been gifted more trades. Therefore, we play more aggressive. So close to 40 trades isn't quite valuable, where if you can nail a starting side and just be disciplined, something we all lacked, boys, and that's probably the biggest lesson learnt for this year. I mean, we bring it up all the time, but if you had your moment again, would have you have held Hayden Young, Nick Martin, Grundy, etc.? I know I would have. So yeah, it's like if you hold those guys, you're looking really good. And I was aggressive this year, but then I still would have had 3 trades to fall back on and would have been laughing. So I think to be more conservative in sideways trading, just be really careful with it. But we still want to be upgrading and being aggressive. So Moderation, mate, just within reason, but nothing too silly. Give people a chance. That's what I reckon. The only sideways I'd recommend is if there is one base price rookie you've missed, and he's got a negative 80 break even, he's not in your team, and you've got some random loophole just sitting there, just for a bit of you might have a couple of loopholes in each line to get the best score. Sideways trade there. I can understand that, but premiums, not too sure. What do you reckon, boys? Will be with me on that one?
Yeah, agreed with you, mate. It's not. It's really hard to say because you don't know how the season will go. Like, I won't say, but I would say relatively throughout the season we were sort of lucky in terms of we didn't get as many 1 week suspensions or 1 week injuries as we thought we might, like the dangerous tackles, that sort of thing. So in terms that we sort of used that as a luxury or an excuse to make luxury trades that we didn't necessarily need to. Like, I know personally, I did like a Jack Steele to Jai Caldwell style trade a couple of weeks ago. Like, it looks good for the first couple of weeks until it sort of comes back. So, but yeah, looking at that question, Frogger, it's almost worth hanging back, but then you always have that FOMO, or you always feel like, oh, I'm one primo behind everyone else. Like, we'll never be able to catch up. When in fact, holding that one trade and getting that extra week of data in is probably more valuable in the long run, rather than wasting trades on sideways trades at the start of the season just because a primo that you put all this preseason research into fails for a couple of weeks doesn't mean it's going to be a failed pick overall. I think that's a big lesson that we need to look at moving forward.
Nice, mate. Rossco, anything you want to add to that discussion, mate?
I think being aggressive is good. Something I think I personally want to be a bit more mindful of is the boosts. I used a lot of my boosts pretty early. I think that was partly due to trying to play catch up. But I think next season I want to try and hit the buys with a boost. I think having 1 week where you can make 4 trades. I think this year 14 and 15 were the ones that really got a lot of people. Having that week where you can make 4 trades and really flip yourself from having 18 on field to having 20 on field and 18 premium could really make a difference in, catching up points where you might not otherwise be able to. I think it's something I've had a bit of success with as well, sitting close enough to the pack, and then really rapidly climbing through the buys. I think it's a good way to go about it. But, just being more mindful with the boosts, I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Very good discussion, boys. Very good discussion. And thanks again, Frogger, for the question, mate. Appreciate you, buddy. Here's a ladies' man, fresh from the Supercoach Wall of Fame now. I think this is more of a bad luck story than anything here from Causa. Hey, legends, as last week I asked you how to win my league, I lost by 17 points and out of the top 8. Would have beaten first, but had to lose to 5th with a 25-40.
Unlucky, mate. That's horrible.
It's very
Had
stiff.
Evans and Kerno on field. But it was top 6, still haven't won the league.
That's
very unlucky, Causa.
Next year.
Look, mate, you look, I suppose a great example this week, Causa, is that you look at there's, as Janath mentioned, for only 200 points separating Janath and I, but really, Janath has been clearly the most successful out of the 3 or 4 of us this year. I won 3 leagues against him this week, or 3 matchups against him this week, Causa, and he's had the chocolates for 90% of the rounds this season. But it just comes Supercoach finals, and somehow I do a bit of a Bradbury over the line, mate. So these things happen, Causa. Don't get too down on yourself, mate. And again, similar to what we've been talking about, we're going to plan well for next year, learn from our lessons, and really implement some of what we've got from this year, mate. So, yeah, all the best, Causa, and just a bit of bad luck.
Great work.
Frogger's back again. Jeez, mate. Has Rao done enough to get out of the doghouse? I might ask you again, Miss Bills. I'm back into our good books after checks notes. His first ton in 8 weeks. Feel like he still owes Spills and the Supercoach community a ton run and a slab each for his victims as compensation. That's cold.
That's
Never again list or price watch in 2025. Now, Spills, we went through our never again list last week. Has this ton convinced you to maybe have a crack next year, or what are we thinking here, mate?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Very simple. Very
Not
simple.
again. Never again.
Never again. Roscoe, you
No.
going anywhere near Matthew Rao?
I don't put people in never again. I don't like it because I've always had Heaney's one of those never again. So then this is the year that he's gone really well.
That's a good
So
point.
I don't think it's fair to put people in a never again. But I don't think I could start him next year.
Okay, so not starting, but you're saying not never to Matty. There may be a chance that he could come across your desk again. Look, at the moment, I just don't really see the upside there. I don't think that he's really got the outside game to be a Supercoach elite, but I love him as a player. I just wish all the best for Matt Rao. But
if he can develop an outside game, that
he'd be that good.
His floor more.
He would
be such a good Supercoach option.
Phenomenal.
Him and I think the reason he scored so well though on the weekend was I reckon he and Harley Reid just went head to head.
Harley had seven or six holding the ball calls. I reckon 4 of them were on Rao. So Rao got 4 holding the ball free kicks.
Was that 4? Like holding the ball 4 free kicks?
Yeah, I don't know how many it was, but Reid had 6 against, 6 holding the ball calls against him. So I think Reid.
If Reid doesn't play, it's another 90.
Yeah, that's unreal. I haven't caught up with that.
Another 90.
Probably. Well, all right. Am I wrong?
Oh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Time will tell.
Next one here is from Mark, aka Silver Pigeon. How are you, legend? Hey, team, as we come to an end, do you think the powers to be are looking to make any changes to Supercoach in 2025? Too bad about the cashy DR. I wasn't going to read out your question, man. I'm sure you'll bounce back this week. Now, Spilsy, you mentioned that you got kicked out of the cashy. Now, I finished on top, mate. Not to just give myself a big head and a head wobble here, but Mark here, the Silver Pigeon, and I was projected to just be on top of him, I think, early days, gave me a bit of a flogging at the end of the day. So old mate straight through the prelim has left poor old DR fighting for life this week in the cashy. So in all seriousness, mate, you have had a ripping season. Congratulations, mate. As soon as I saw that matchup, I thought, you are joking me. How did you slip to 4th? Oh, I was spewing, mate. I was hoping just to meet there in the granny, but yeah, well done, mate. Any changes in 2025? Now, I don't know if this is unofficial, but heard a whisper somewhere that a potential change may be that your VC gets an extra 50% of their score, as well as your captain getting double. So let's just say Zach Butters, if you got him as your captain, scores 100, you'll get 200 for him. And let's just say that whoever, Marcus Bontempelli is your vice captain, he goes 100, you'll get 150 for that score. So that's one thing I've heard. I don't know if it's anything official. I'm thinking that if anything, the trades may be scaled back. I don't think we'll be getting. Well, I can almost lock in the fact we will not be getting extra trades. I can almost tell you that. There was a lot of kickback from that early on the season, particularly from the old school players. So if anything, I think it may be scaled back. But we don't know what the fixture is going to be like, the buys and all the rest for next year. So, yeah, haven't heard anything official, mate. Boys, anything come across your desk change-wise for next year, or are we just sort of guessing and hoping and giving opinions
not as high
at this
up
stage?
as you are, DR.
Oh, I'm absolutely nothing, mate. Don't worry about that. I'm nothing special here, mate. Not at all. Not at all. It may be. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. What we'll do for you, Mark, is maybe next week, if there's not too many relevant topics, we may even have a quick segment about what changes we may potentially like to see. That could be maybe a discussion point, mate, we could have for another time and allow us to have a bit of a think about it, mate. But yeah, cheers for that, buddy. Haven't heard anything official. Kara, how are you, buddy? Guys, love some help. Unsure on what to do with Curnow and Jackson and the team, if I'm honest. Thanks. Now, what's the trade situation here?
3 trades.
Trades, boys.
Yeah,
43,500. So we've got Sheasel, Dacos, McGovern, Martin, Ryan, Houston, Humphreys. Pretty good setup. Zach Reid, Bont, Butters, Goulden, Sarong, Merritt, Green, Rosie, Walsh, Dowling, Bytel, Brown. Geez, you're looking good. Is your forward line just completely...
It's the Simpsons,
Vaughan, Marshall. It's a standard forward line as well, like Flanders, Zorko, Caldwell, Heaney, Jackson, Curnow. So this is the issue that I've got instead of Curnow. I've got Simpkin here. So, boys, all right, there's... how much do we have in the
I've got an idea. Straight off the bat, I would do Krug and Curnow.
Yeah.
I get that Curnow has the matchups coming up, but he's a key forward.
Dylan Moore, surely.
I do Krug and Kerno to Dylan Moore and a rookie.
Yep. Great call.
And you'll have the money, and you'll have Jackson as ruck cover as well. So you want a forward playing
Great
rookie.
call.
I don't know who the forward playing rookies are. That's the only problem. Because you want someone as bench covering the forward line, but then you also have Dowling there that can cover both lines. Just straight up.
Do you know what, Janath? I think that's the obvious move here. And that's what I'm looking to do this week. Like, I want to do this. I want more in there, but I just can't do it. So if you can do that, mate, I think that's fantastic. And that will just give you. Now, Moore's been a bit of a roller coaster this year, but we're not talking Charlie Curnow roller coaster type stuff. You'd think that, and does he finish with the Saints or North and Eagles or something like that?
Eagles and Saints, yep.
Eagles and Saints. There you go. So I think he's got a really nice couple of weeks for your prelim and your grand final, mate. So I think that is terrific advice.
Do you want the other high risk option as a loop that you can use with Jackson as well? Is Kerner and Kruger to Philippo and Peatling. So getting into sort of F6, F7s. But the thing with Peatling is he's either going to go 90 or he's going to be sub. So it's like, well, what do you do?
I don't think he plays at all.
Yeah. Or he doesn't play at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
really
with those if Kelly plays, I don't think he will. Because he had good form. I don't know if you remember, Janath, I messaged you about him earlier on, and then that same week he got dropped again. They seem to like Joe Fonte as the sub at the moment.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know whether they change it. But
it's interesting.
Yeah, usually
the only reason I bring that up is there's no sort of forward rookies to bring in this week. Oh. So unless you're looking for midfield, and then use Dowling up forward.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, mate. And Cara, I think that's a really solid move, mate. Get Dylan Moore onto your side, buddy. Here's a legend, John O'Carroll. How you going, mate? Hey, legends. Hope you're going well. Much love to all your families.
Mate.
And cheers, you too, mate. That really does mean a lot. And that goes to show. Yeah, exactly.
What a bloke he is. Great bloke.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Goes to show what type of human John O'Carroll is. Well, the season nearing conclusion. And also, he's going to be big into his YouTube 2025. Been very busy lately, but he's going to hit the ground running, boys. And make sure you check out that channel as well. Well, the season nearing conclusion. Who are some players that you look to start next year across all lines? Mate, we've already gone through that. 3 2025 locks each. Can't wait to pick your brains during the off season. Much love, Saint Binger. So, boys, we have actually done Jono really solid there. And what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12 plus a few. I reckon we've gone close to 20 players there.
20
we're
players.
Looking to go there. So, cheers for that, Jono. Great minds think alike there, mate. Cheers, buddy. I just love pronouncing this name. Steve O'Heavo. Bit of Bruce.
You got to do... DR, you've got to do it properly. Steve O'Heavo.
More of the
Heavo.
I like it.
Heavo. Steve O'Heavo.
And a little
way to go. Way to go. Oh, Rio, it's the old Heavo. We are the Rio Doctors.
Let's start up maybe the swordplay choir. Anyone that wants to apply, let us know in the comment section, boys. Steve O'Heavo. After a 2,600 plus round, just rub it in, why don't you, Steve-O? Thanks very much, mate. Smashed the four of us. Just outside the top 1K, very nice. Was wondering, who do I play and bench in the midfield? Currently Dawson benched, but it's a tough one. Cheers, legend. So let's have a look at how this midfield's stacking up. Bont, Butters, Dacos, Sarong, Zerrett, Steele, Green, Martin, Dawson, Manor, and Simpkin. Keeping in mind that he's got Dacos in the midfield, Sard down back, so he could potentially do something there. Nick Martin's there as well. Who are your boys got this week's builds? You got Gold Coast, don't you?
Gold Coast at home, yeah.
Good match.
Who Adelaide got?
Adelaide of Western Bulldogs at
Western
home.
Bulldogs, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I think that's the tough matchup for Dawson, even though it's at Adelaide Oval. Ross, do you have any matchup data there as well from DFS?
I'm just looking at Cooper Simpson. They play 4:35 Saturday. I don't think he plays. They're just looking. There's Tom Green, Nick Dacos are the only two that play before that.
It's an interesting mix. because
Just
he's
going
got
through the matchups.
two defenders in his midfield, but no premium defenders with DPP. Yeah, interesting mix. Sorry, Janath.
True. No, I was just going through the matchups then. So I think Martin's a player you want to field this week against Gold Coast. Merritt is definitely a field. Butters, Bont, Dacos, Sarong, great matchups across the board there. So it comes between Steele, Green, and Dawson. If you don't want to make a loopy loop and bench one of those 6 defenders, so maybe it's even. I think Houston against potentially his 2025 club, Melbourne, will have a good game.
Ooh, big, I like that. Yeah.
So Bailey, Dale.
Sorry, Shana.
Dale, Steele, Green.
I think Jack Steele should be all right. We're playing the Tigers at Marvel.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Is it Tom Green against Brisbane at the Gabba?
Yes.
Or Jordan Dawson against the Dogs at Adelaide Oval? I think it's got to be between those two in terms of benching one of them.
I'd involve Dawson. I'd definitely involve Dawson, I think.
Brizzy is a tough matchup for midfielders.
It's tough. Plays hard.
Yeah. Especially Tom Green's play style. Because he plays very in and under, but a lot, like even for Dunkley and Neil, like the ball's just going so quickly out of that midfield. I can't see Tom Green being very conducive to that style game. So I'd bench Green in that situation.
I think Dunkley will really body up on him at stoppages.
Yeah. Even
and
that,
I've got a feeling, I don't know, come back from injury, but if Josh Kelly plays, Jared Berry may just follow Josh Kelly around, even if it's on a wing, whatever, and make his life really difficult. I'm not too sure. But Kelly's hurt us in the past. He's been, you've always got those players like Cozzy Pickett is one player that just seems to smash us all. It's weird, like Cody Waitman or one of those. You get these weird players that can play well against your side. Yeah, there you go. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Sorry, it's just quick.
Especially you got a full team like that. Like sometimes luxury. Yeah.
Shouldn't you be able to loop Tom Green and Dawson with Simpson?
Yes, you can.
So that's
Chuck Simpson on.
Yeah, nice, Rossco.
Emergency on Green.
Yeah.
If he goes no good, then
what are you taking, Ross? You want Green to at least ton up before you go? Would you take 100 or do you want more?
Great
question.
I don't know. I think maybe 105. But then again, you're just playing with, is 104 good enough? Is 106 good enough?
It's tough. You got to give a number though, don't you? You got to answer the question.
I'd take a ton. I'd take a ton with Dawson against.
I'd almost see how your team's going as well.
Yeah, against your
see
leagues
how
too.
Teams started off. Look at some leagues.
Plays the last game, so you might be. It might be a bit of a DR strat. Like you're 10 points behind in a league, and you got to gain another 10 points. What do you do? So you might field Dawson to even when all your players have already played because he's got that last game. So
the only issue is you'd have to switch him. They play 145 GWS. So if Green was going good, you'd do nothing. If Green was going rubbish, you'd have to get Dawson on for Simpson before 4:35.
So awkward. Isn't it?
It's tough, isn't it?
You've got half an hour in between those games to get it done.
Yeah. That's it.
Beautiful.
Cool.
All right.
Cool,
and last one, boys, is from Huey. Actually, and I got screwed by Hugh McCluggage in a league matchup. I lost it by like 3 points. Come on. Seriously. Anyway.
Random.
Huey, hey guys, if I trade Jackson or Curnow this week, should I bring in Moore or Rankin? Ooh, have 2 trades left.
Oh.
So just one after this.
Why not do both?
Do you want the safety or do you want the upside?
I'm saying more. I'm saying more.
He's got the good matchups to finish the season as well. He feels safe. Isaac Rankin could be anything though. Like that's
Moore's
right.
If you want that stealing razor, it's Rankin.
Do you know he's fixed, Janath? Do you know who the Crows have got in the next?
The Crows have Dogs this week. Really tough matchup.
Then
they have Port, which Ross will be at actually, and then the Swans. That fixtures. That's a disgusting.
Yeah, Dylan Moore.
More, 100%. Yeah, more.
Dylan Moore.
It has to be.
Roscoe, what do you reckon, mate?
I'll take Dylan Moore
on Rankin.
Richmond and North in the last 2 weeks seems nice.
Doesn't get easier,
really.
On
hard
paper,
to go past, isn't it? Yeah. Particularly if they're still in finals contention and all the rest. And
big one.
Absolutely.
I will say though, Rankin could drop a 150 at the showdown that I'll be there to watch. So you never know.
Now, very quickly, Ross, for all the Adelaide viewers out there, will you be on the Crom or will you be singing "Never Tear Us Apart"?
I'll sing "Never Tear Us Apart," but I'll probably cheer for
They got to
Adelaide.
get
during the
get
game.
rid of that. To be honest,
You're such a Karen, Spills.
That's a carrot. Oh, I love it.
Janath's form. I don't know what is he showing off in front of Ross? What's going on here? He's in unbelievable form. His drive-bys galore. I never copped it from the great man so much before.
I do need to keep my eyes out though. There's a couple of blokes over in Adelaide, Port supporters, that aren't too happy with me after I booed Jason Horne-Francis at the first gather round.
Oh, blasphemy. Wow.
We were sitting next to
are a
him for the
brave
whole
man,
game.
Rossco.
He gave me a spray on the first quarter, and I didn't say a word to him for the rest of the game.
This was the game. This was the game that Jason Horne-Francis was sitting on the bench at 3/4 time with Ken, and Ken was giving him a good speech.
I remember it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I can't wait.
Emotional.
Yeah.
I cannot wait
It's
for
gonna be
Port to
good.
play like North at Marvel.
North.
So they just the theatre of it would be unreal.
It'll be good. All right, boys. Let's wrap this up then with the captains. So this table, I think we've got some really good captaincy options this week. So just straight off the bat, I've got a couple of Sydney boys, and Grundy can be added to this chat. So Goulden and Heaney, there's no way that Sydney don't bounce back this week. I just can't see John Longmire as a coach letting the boys stand for whatever that was on the weekend. Being at the Carlton-Collingwood game, the score comes up on the scoreboard. It's 71-0. And the crowd just collectively gasped because you're like, how does the top of the ladder do that? So I think the Swanee boys are good, but where I think the VCC will lie is in the Saturday games and the Sunday games, because the West Coast matchup for Sheasel, LDU, Cherry is mint. It's great matchup data there. Sheasel especially is in very good form. Cherry, if you own Cherry is a great call.
No, I don't own him, Janath. I don't own him for the 10th time this podcast. Crikey.
Caleb,
if you own Cherry.
He just... Well, at least you own Grundy. I've got English.
I'd probably rather English, to be honest, the way Brody's...
Don't say that.
So
we can swap. We can trade anytime.
Oh, actually, I predicted him to go 30 plus over Cherry this week, haven't I? So I better keep on to him just for this week, Jonathan. We'll swap next week, mate.
Caleb's strong against Geelong. Great. Not great matchup, but a good matchup, and he loves Optus Stadium. So I think that's a decent call. Sack Merritt against Gold Coast, who never tag, who have just lost to West Coast. They're playing away from home. Essendon need a win to make the finals. They need to win out to make the finals. Is this the ceiling game that we saw last year at Dreamtime of the G from Saki Merritt coming up? At Marvel,
I wouldn't chase it. Like, it's a good option, but I wouldn't chase it personally.
as in,
As good a time as any for him to
see him, or you wouldn't VC him?
I just wouldn't involve him. Like, I think he can bounce back.
Oh, you're that off, are you?
Interesting.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Yeah. Like, I think he's solid, but I just don't know. I like the other options better. Even though he's a great shout, but I don't know. He's just been so consistent. I've barely seen that ceiling this year, so I'd be happy to just overlook him. Butters is the one I do.
I was going to say there's another matchup on the other side of town. Sack Butters against Melbourne. Now, Melbourne in the past weeks have been like a sieve for midfielders. We just saw the Bont, the Treloar games. The week before that, we saw Tom Green do okay. It's one of those matchups where I think we just got to target them from here on out, because it just feels like a safe matchup. Caleb Strong and Andy Brayshaw the week before that, 140 and 137 respectively. The one thing with Butters, and I got burnt by this last time, but I really want to pay attention to it this time, is see whether or not he's named on the bench to start the game. And I know this is a very quirky thing, but in the Richmond game, he was named on the bench to start the game. And so you're automatically 10 minutes behind off scaling for your captain. And I don't really want to involve a player, VCC, where the player's starting on the bench, because they start on 0 when everyone else, like a Rosie, may be on 20, and you're already chasing 20 points by the time he comes on for the first time.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So that's like for instance, the Port Adelaide-Sydney game, the game's over by the time someone from the bench came on. They'd kick 6 goals that quickly. So that's just something to just ponder. If Butters isn't named on the bench to start the game, I reckon I'm in on that.
Don't mind that at all, brother.
Luckily, on the Sunday, I do have a Jack Sinclair against the Tigers, so it's not a bad fallback option. The 18th against designated kickers it feels like an anomaly because I just can't believe that the Tigers are 18th in the last 5 games against designated kickers.
It's unreal.
I actually think it's just straight up the wrong position.
Possibly.
Like, I love the work the DFS Australia, Morts, great website. I use it a lot, but I don't know if I'd call him a designated kicker on the eye test. He took, I reckon he took one kick out on the weekend. The rest of the time he roamed around with the mids, and Richmond would be, top 5 for inside mids.
The only interesting there, Ross, is that with designated kickers, like Goulden's also a designated kicker because it's not just the person that takes the kick-ins, it's the person that in the team is charged with delivering the ball out of defense, delivering the ball inside 50, that sort of thing.
I did not realise that. I thought it was the back, the attacking half-back is the designated kicker.
So it's a mix of both. So you've got the Luke Ryan types and you've also got the Goulden Sinclair types that are really the main avenue of ball movement throughout the team. So great, good matchup there. Rowan Marshall is a great matchup. The form is there. The opposition data is there. The venues there is averaging 125 plus in all 3 of those categories. Nank gives up bulk points to Rucks. We saw with Cherry on the weekend. I think that's a boom captaincy pod option this week. So
John,
I think you could flip the coin as well and captain Nankervis.
You could. That's a good call as
Rossco.
Well. Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yep. And then the safe picks on the Sunday, I think. But DR, do you ever feel like you don't want a captain to play in the last game? Is there like that irky feeling where you're relying on a 140 or 130 coming in that last game?
Absolutely.
It's not a great feeling.
Absolutely. Nah, look, I think for me, it's going to be pretty hard to go past Sheasler's my VC for the week.
Great.
I'm a big fan of either Butters or Bont as my likely backups, I think. Who I'll go out of the Bont and Butters, I'm not too sure. I keep on thinking back to that, was it like 180 plus game in the wet he had against Melbourne? Yes, and just that was the coming of Zach Butters really, really, really announced himself, I think, as elite midfield of the competition. But after watching Bont last week, can you go against that as a backup? I'm not too sure. But at this stage, Sheasel's close to locked as a VC, and then the decision will be out of Butters and my man Bont. Rossco, how about yourself, mate? And Rossco as well. Isn't it fantastic, Spills, to finally have the full complement of the third man up for the captain's corner?
Yeah, it is good.
Absolutely brilliant, mate, isn't it?
We'll just sit back and let these two just finish this off here.
Who are your top 3 picks? Top 3 VCC right here, mate. Come on.
Oh, here we go. Getting it early.
I'll take Sheasel. I'll give you 3 options. I'd probably take Sheasel, best VC, Butters, second best VC or best captain. And I'd probably take Sinclair as a fallback, I think.
Wow.
Ooh,
that's left field, and I like it. I wish I owned him.
If you had both?
I think so. I think he could churn out a 140 again against Richmond.
Yeah.
Nice, Rossco.
Like, regardless of where he plays on the field, he just seems to find the ball. Who did we play for a 99?
That was against what's it? Essendon.
Okay, that's a strange game that he got a 99 in. We won it by a lot. Yeah. I'm not really sure what happened there. But
this is the perfect example of the dilemma which I was mentioning earlier. Do you go the effective ownership with Bont, or do you go the pod captain that if he goes well, you just go to the moon? But if he doesn't go well, you're screwed because most people have a Bont C, and if he goes big, you're double screwed because you
double screwed.
Let's be real. Yeah. After Harry Sheasel's finished, the captain will be Cohen Livingston. So doesn't really.
There we go.
He's locked.
Love it, Rossco. Love it, mate. Love it.
Oh, I love it, mate.
Anyways, the absolute flex.
Spilsy, finish us off, mate. Who's going to be your VC and C?
Barn Spills.
Yeah, I'm going to back him, me boy. Harry Sheasel, bounce back game. Didn't go my way last week, so hopefully it goes my way this week. Really nice opposition, and did some great things last time he played them away as well. So going to do that. And then I think Butters against Melbourne, well, that's another lesson from last week. We saw what Bonampelli did to that midfield, and we saw what Tom Green did to it the previous week. So I find it almost impossible to overlook Butters as a fallback. So that'll be my 2 moves, boys, and pretty confident with that. I'm going to back me gut, and hopefully one or the other works out. What do you boys reckon?
I reckon Sheasel VC, Butters as a fallback C. Just a couple of caveats I want to look at there is if he's named in the final teams, is he named on the bench or is he named on field? And also just noting that Tom Sparrow did have a slight run with Roland Bont as a call-up, more so than a tag in the second half last week. So just if I want to play it safe, I'd probably lean on a Bontempelli Sinclair type, but Butters definitely has the ceiling if he doesn't get that tag coming up. You could even go VC Butters into a Bont if there are loops available from the Sunday games, but I think many teams will struggle on that regard with Hawks, Richmond Saints, Adelaide Dogs, Carlton, not many loops lying around in those teams there. But look, great work, boys. We'll just wrap up with a lack of trades for this week, meaning that we'll finish it there. We'll come on, man. Diaz holding his trades. He's got trades, but
superior. DR is the superior content.
Boys, give me. This is a frustrating thing about.
Give me some carnage.
Team value. Give me some 14 mil, and I want 2K. Just give me 2K. The team's worth 14 mil. Give me 2K so I can bring in Dylan Moore, please. Like, it's just, blokes. Frustrated, but I'm not complaining with a couple of trades in the bank. I'm not complaining. Come on, Supercoach God, some carnage, please.
But how good is it that we can still go 2 hours with what people would think there's nothing to talk about? We always have something to talk about. It's a great effort. Thank you so much, Ross, for coming on. It's a great pleasure always to have you as part of the channel, because like we've always been close mates, but I want the others to also be able to pick your brain as well as I do. So look, we'll leave it at that. Good luck everyone for your semi-finals this week. Hope the luck turns, and as I always say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in a bush. So cheerio. Good luck for this week, and we'll see you all on the other side next week. Cheers.
Got it, boys. See you, lads.